Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fedray Zach, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today I'd like to discuss family legacy and how it affected you, may affect your kids, your grandkids, and many generations after that as well. But before we start, make sure to smash the like button, share, and do subscribe, especially if you find value in this presentation. Okay, so just to digress a little bit, I lost two very important people in my life over the past year. One that I obviously was very close with, my father passed away, and his brother, my uncle, which I wasn't so close with, but we had a really great relationship. And especially after my father passed away, we were really connected towards the end of his life. And he passed away about 6 months after my father passed away. So it was really, kind of bittersweet because I got to be very close with him towards the end of his life, but I had this access to him this entire time. So a couple of advice out there. If you ever want to know about your family history, get it while your parents, grandparents, great-grandparents are alive during your lifetime, because it'll make your job a lot easier kind of breaking down. My father did a fantastic job in really breaking down the family history in terms of mapping out the family tree. But besides that, there's so many stories that are behind it. And yes, I did take the time with this camera actually to interview my father, and it's probably about a 2-hour interview about his life, his challenges, his tribulations, what he went through. And there's a lot of things that through his early stages in life affected him throughout most of the rest of his life, and affected him as a parent, and as a result affected me, right? And I had not even been exposed to some of this past history up until just recently. He lost a very close brother in his youth that was older than him. At the age of 14, he had some sort of leukemia or some sort of cancer, and he passed away quite quickly after that. And he was the family hero. He was the family good-looking guy, very accomplished in school, and so very popular in school as well. So, it really affected the entire family as a result of that, which ended up affecting myself, and as a result affecting my children. My father was a very warm personality, not very expressive of feelings, but very warm personality. And that's kind of like the cultural setting and the climate of that generation. But just recently, I got a hold of some pictures from when my father was young. And as a result of that, it gave me so much context. Especially seeing how his parents reacted to this loss of their son at 14 years old, and how the family had to travel from country to country. And there was just so many trials and tribulations that affected everybody there. My grandfather was a merchant, import-export in dry goods, very successful relatively for that time period. And kind of looking at the pictures were 1950 and then 1960. So in 1950s, you saw them wearing lapels that were very wide, and the ties were much wider, and double-breasted suits. And then I have a picture about 10 years later in 1960s. It's completely different. They all look like the Beatles, they're all wearing these very slim ties. The lapels are very slim as well, and they're looking slim, and completely different Vogue. But this is what's so amazing about it, is that you see kind of the context that they were in and how it affects you. And that family legacy of working hard that was instilled from my grandfather, who was actually an orphan, and could have just played victim, and did the opposite. He was a very disciplined, very serious, very business-minded person. And he was never relying on other people, always was a giver, from what I understood. And that carried on to my father, where my father always lavished us a little bit too much, because he didn't have that as a child, right? We always give our children what we don't have as children ourselves. But the discipline was always there. The structure was always there. The self-discipline was always there of my father. My father never went a day without shaving. He was literally like a soldier, and kept it throughout his entire life, even after he retired and even after he did other things in his life. And that stays within the family. that stays within the family. That is something that you could take to yourself and then to your kids and pass it on. And don't think just because you didn't have that history that you can't create that for yourself, for your children and your grandchildren. It's something that comes with intent. It's something that comes with thinking about it and really putting it and putting it structurally where you don't even have to say the words, but it's there. And I think that's really very important. I think it helps to add the words. I think it helps that, that your children know that you're doing certain things because you want them to succeed in their personal lives, either structurally in relationships or academically or financially or whatever it is. But that needs to really be structured in such a way and transmitted from generation to generation so that, the torch is actually carried through the name. And in fact, I kind of did like a analysis of my family, and out of all the kids, right, we have the most boys, and that will mean that we will carry the name, my last name, the most out of all my siblings, as they have girls, and the name kind of stops there. Not good, not bad, just expressing what it is. But a legacy is set up through carrying the name and through carrying the attributes of what the parents and the grandparents had into the future. And I think that that's the most important point about it. Just wanted to share with you just a little bit personal and very, very emotional about it, because it's really it brought me another connection to my father and then to my grandfather, who I never met, but I was named after. And I draw the similarities as much as I can. But yeah, especially when you don't meet the person, that it's hard to relate to them. But it's there. And that's what we call a legacy that carries on. Thank you for joining us for this Motivational Mondays. We'll see you here next week.